delivering a speech or speaking on leading from your strengths. So Doug is an educator, community builder, and a global citizen. For 20 years, Doug has empowered others to maximize their talents and strength, to think globally and act locally, challenging traditional notions of leadership in the higher education space. Through this work, Doug challenged students to think and be outside of their comfort zones, including leading students to destinations including Uganda, Dubai, Prague, India, Ecuador, Belize, and China. His past roles in the higher education sector include being the residence hall coordinator at East Carolina University, director of the leadership and experiential training at Frostburg State University, and assistant director for leadership education and development at Appalachian State University. For nearly a decade, Doug has cultivated relationships with and served internationally nonprofits, entrepreneurs, and civil servants. Doug's certificate as a Gallup Strengths Coach is instrumental to his message of servant leadership, authenticity, and community engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Doug. Ready.
Thank you, Lunga. It's funny, you cut out right there again at the end, but that's okay. We're gonna go through this. You're doing awesome. So thank you so much, Lunga, Prudence. Very, very wonderful introduction. It's nice to meet all of you. I'm really excited to be here, and I can't wait to get started. But before we do, let me make sure. Can you all see my slides now?
Yes, we can see.
Awesome. So yeah, so we're going to talk about leading from strength. And first I want to say thank you to Uno for inviting me today. But also, maybe I should be mad at him. He put me, I think, as your last speaker for the day, right? And also the last speaker of the conference, right? This is it. So I'm supposed to go out on with a bang, because this is, from everything I've been hearing and seeing, I've been following along a little bit here and there. Unfortunately, I'm sleeping during most of the time that you guys are meeting, because I'm over in the United States, but I appreciate all of this hard work and effort. I've been hearing how wonderful the presentations have been, so thank you to Uno. However, I'm mad at you, Uno, for putting me last. So there you go. All right, and so as we start, so today we're going to talk about leading from strengths. And really the idea is just to lead from what you're good at, right? That's the simplest way of putting it. So thank you all, and let me see if I can click on my slides. All right. So today we're going to start with defining what does strengths mean, right? What are we talking about when I say leading from strengths? Then identifying what your strengths are. So it's one thing to define it. The next thing is to identify, well, how do you figure out what they are? We are going to talk a little bit about authentic leadership, which the last presenter did start talking about that quite a bit, and I'm very grateful to him. I think that he was really starting to nail authentic leadership really, really well, and I think that's awesome. And then for me, how do you wrap this all together, and how do you turn this into teamwork? How do you turn this into something that we can all use? Oh, you can see my notes too? That's funny. Let's see. Let me share a new screen. This one. There, now do you see my notes? You still see my notes?
Yes.
That's too funny. All right, let's see. It makes it less fun when I'm sharing my actual notes.
How you originally shared it, Doug, did not show your notes screen.
All right, tell me now. I mean, you can see all the plethora of notes that I've got going on right now, right? They're huge. It says add notes to your design. Let's see if there's a way to pull this up here as well. Sorry about that, everyone.
It's all right,
Is that
Doug.
any better, or are you still seeing my notes? I think you're still seeing it. Let me stop the share and let me reshare. But now I can't see my notes. All right, do you see my notes now? Back to my notes. That's so strange.
I think you can proceed.
Well, you're gonna get my notes, which is gonna be weird because I am gonna read some of it just because I think it works so well and I've been rehearsing and practicing. But yeah, I'm not sure how to do this without seeing my notes.
No problem.
Yeah, that
We
would
can
work.
go.
That
Yeah.
would work as well. April. Perfect. I'll put my notes on a separate computer. That way you guys can't see them and it'll actually work out just fine.
While Doug is working on that, just let me know if you're ready. Let everybody, let me greet everyone around. We see you, who's here? Mr. Maruta, I see you've been the consistent man in this conference. You need your own applause. You've been consistent.
Yeah, I think I'm the man of the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think amongst everybody who is in the meeting right now, I think Uno have just done this for me. I think it's a blessing to me.
No, fantastic. Grab it.
I feel honored to be in it as well. So I've benefited a lot. So hey, I feel honored, man. Yeah.
Sweet.
This is
sweet.
great.
Sweet. Welcome, everyone. I think, Doug, you're ready?
I'm ready.
Sweet. Take it over.
Perfect. All right, so thank you again. All right, so we're just going to get into some of the stuff that you already talked about. I am an educator. I've been an educator for 20 years. I've been working in higher education, so universities, colleges throughout the United States for 20 years now. Everything from helping students to figure out what their passions are, where they live, and how to get along with one another, all the way through to I was the director of leadership and experiential learning at a university. And then most recently, about 2 years ago, I actually got to work with Uno, which is how I met him. We hosted at Appalachian State, we hosted what, 30, 40 really amazing African leaders. So been doing that. Some of the programs that I've been doing actually are with world travel. So like you said, I've been taking students to see some wonderful places and to really meet the culture and the people that are there. I'm not a tourist. I don't like being a tourist. I don't want to go to, we went to India, for example, and I don't want to go to India and just look at all the, the amazing things that they have, the 7 wonders of the world and all this other stuff. I want to go and actually meet the culture, meet the people, see who, what everyone's like. So that's kind of what I mean by the world traveler. And again, I am a community builder, so I want to build that community. I've actually transitioned my current role. I'm not teaching with the university right now anymore. I've actually moved over into real estate development. So I've actually been helping people buy and sell their homes, which is a form of community building. And that's one of the things I'm very, very good at, is helping people to become knowledgeable and helping people with whatever they're looking to do. So, and then lastly, I am a certified strengths coach, which is kind of a fun thing, and you'll hear a little bit more about what that means in a minute. So the first thing I want everyone to do is, if you can, please go ahead and fold your hands together. Let me see if I can flip back to see you all as well. So if you fold your hands together, tell me how does that feel? That you have your hands clasped together. Actually, before you do that, I want you to change. If you're folding your hands like this, I want you to change and interlock your fingers the opposite way. So it's not the normal way you do it. Okay, does that make sense? So Now tell me a little bit, anyone that wants to shout it out, what does that feel like to you? When your hands are folded in a different way than normal?
I'll say uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. That's a great word. Yeah, absolutely. It is uncomfortable. Let's see what the chat's saying. It's unusual. It's different. It's weird. I love that. I love that. It seems wrong. That is the best statement I could have read right there. It just feels wrong. You're not doing things the way that it's most comfortable to you. And that's important to think about as we move on to our, to the rest of the presentation. We're trying to do things that feel comfortable to you because you are in your greatest strength when you're doing things that are comfortable to you, correct? So, now I gotta minimize this guy back up. All right, so some words of wisdom, all right? Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Okay, Albert Einstein. So if we're to compare our talents and our strengths to others, we'll easily become demoralized, right? I don't want to compare myself to Uno. Uno is phenomenal at the things that he does. But if I always compared myself to Uno, I'm going to feel like I'm lacking. So we have to think about our own lives, our own journeys, right? We want to think about what makes things easier for us. What passions do we have? What talents do we have? To become truly who we're destined to be. That's what's really important, okay? So we're gonna talk about identifying what those strengths are, right? So we wanna figure out what are these strengths? So here's some ways to quickly identify your own strengths. So what activity excites you? Just thinking to yourself. If you start thinking, well, what do you get energized by? What are you passionate about? What excites you? What are you often called to do on? When you're in school, did your teachers ask you to do a certain thing because you were just naturally good at it? How do you best contribute, right? So going back to those real quickly, what activities excite you? Are you organizing things? Are you researching things? Are you meeting new people? What do you just enjoy doing? Or what are you passionate about, right? Are you solving complex problems? Are you learning? Is it more about the inclusion aspect? When everyone feels included, that excites you and you're really passionate about that. What are you often called to do? Do people say, hey, Uno, we want you to recruit because you're really good at recruitment? Or, hey, we want you to put together this amazing symposium because you're really good at envisioning what that looks like and having everything in the right place, the right time. Are you good at the production? Are you good at envisioning the future? What are you good at? And how do you best contribute? If you're best contributing by caring for the team, then you should be doing that. Obviously, completing tasks. If you're good at completing tasks, we want to make sure that you're the task master, that you're making sure things are getting done because we know and we trust that you're going to do what you're good at. So oftentimes it's important to think or to note that sometimes our strengths are hidden from us because others don't see the value in the strengths that we hold, okay? So for example, you're not competitive, you're goal-oriented. You're not indecisive, you're thoughtful. You're not talkative, you're a storyteller, right? So these are just three quick ones that I came up with of really thinking about things that are not normal to you that people think might be a bad trait in you, but really it's a good trait. And we have to figure out how do we reframe it and how do we tell it to others that is a positive. Because you'll see when we're talking from our strengths, we're going to be much better at communicating and we're going to be much better at giving the world our best when we're operating from our strengths. Okay. So I said during the interview with Uno a couple weeks ago that really strength is defined in this way. It's your time on your task plus your talent, or your times your talent. So it says you have the capacity to grow exponentially and reach new heights by investing time into developing your strengths. So really think of it this way. So it's maybe not time on task, maybe it's investment, right? Think of it as investment. investment of your time, your energy, your resources, if you're investing things that you are already talented in, you're going to become strong in those things. So, and that's my goal here today, is I really want all of you to start thinking about what you are good at and how do you start investing in those things to make the world a better place. Because the world doesn't need another Uno. We have one amazing Uno. We don't need another one. The world doesn't need another person that's like all the other hundreds of people doing the things that they're already doing. We need another you. So really think about that. Time on the task plus your talent, or times your talent, is your strength. So if we're kind of defining what talent looks like, talent is any recurring pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. So talents help us to personify our values, okay? So for example, if I value inclusion, then I likely have talents in community building or communication or empathy. Those are really great talents to have, especially if I value inclusion, then I probably have talents in those other areas. Does that make sense? Okay. Strengths, on the other hand, are those abilities that we can more easily strive in. But we may not be able to identify how it is so effortless, or because it's the core of who we are, right? So consistent, near perfect performance in an activity is strength. So we're doing these talents of ours and we're repeating them every day. We're doing them over and over and over. Eventually they'll become our strength. These are the things that you want to do. And again, the idea is to work from your strengths, not from your weaknesses. So going back to that idea of interlocking your fingers, if every day I told you to interlock your fingers the wrong way, at the end, you're still going to be uncomfortable with it. It's just not what you want to do. Oftentimes a thing I would do in class is I'd have everyone sign their name 5 times, but before they started, I would have them switch hands. So sign your name with your non-dominant hand 5 times. Even by the end, you're not any better than you were at the beginning, but also it's uncomfortable that entire time. So the idea is we're trying to really make sure that you're operating in your strengths at all times, as opposed to areas that you might not be as good at. So here's what Don Clifton says, and Don Clifton is the guy, the man behind Strengths Quest or Strengths Finder 2.0 or whatever he's calling it nowadays. And so here's his words of wisdom. Your weakness will never develop, while your strengths will develop infinitely. You can spend, if you are not good at math, you can spend all day, every day at math, and you will marginally increase. You might not be bad by the end, but you will be okay. You'll be maybe even good. But instead, if you have a talent for writing, and every day you develop that talent and you pour that time and energy into those talents, you will infinitely increase, and you will write the next Shakespearean novel. You will write the next dissertation. You will write the next big thing that's going to be, a best-selling author would do, because you're going to be developing that talent every single day, and it's something that you already are good at. So while I may be able to grow slightly in improving upon my personal weaknesses, I can't grow further by developing, but I can grow further. Sorry, I can grow further by developing my strengths, right? So often I also try to find ways that integrate my strengths into activities that I'm not excited for. So here's a personal story, and I wrote this, but I want to remember what I said. So let me pull it over on my other screen. Make sure I'm saying kind of the story. Let's see. So personal story. So yeah, here it is. I had to see my notes to see I don't like public speaking, right? It's not a strength of mine. I don't really even enjoy public speaking, right? So if that's not a strength of mine, what am I doing here? Why am I the one giving this presentation where there's other people that could do it? Well, I'll tell you why. The reason is because I don't love public speaking because I don't love the attention on myself. That's really what struggles, I have. But because for me, it's all about the team. I love working with a team. I love developing other people not necessarily, looking at me, but I want the focus to be on the entire team. So because I love to serve others and I want to develop others, as you heard from my bio, I really like other people learning around me. It gives me passion to help teach things. So when I reframe what I'm doing, this public speaking, I don't think of it as public speaking. I think of it as speaking to my strengths of helping other people, right? Helping others to grow. So it motivates me to do this work because I'm helping others in the room. I'm helping you all maybe glance a nugget for yourself that you didn't have before. It also motivates me to be my very best because I want to leave you in this conversation. I want to leave you hopeful. I want you to be motivated. I want you excited, right? I want you inspired to be of service to yourself as well as to others, right? Not just about yourself. Well, maybe for you it is about yourself, but for me, it's not about me. It's always about the other person. So that's really what motivates me. And again, I'm not developing my weakness areas. I'm developing my strength areas, and I'm just reframing it, reshaping it. So here's some common questions, right? I hear this all the time when I start talking about discussing the importance of strength. I think Uno even asked one of these the other day. What if I don't know what my strengths are, right? A lot of people have that challenge. What I always had to do with my students in my classroom was say, the first thing I would have them do, the first assignment was go to your friends, your family, your mom, your dad, your best friend, whoever it is that knows you really, really well, and ask them to describe you, okay? Who you are, what makes you good. Ask them to give you those adjectives that describe who you are, not what represents you, not what you represent. Oh, you're really sweet and I, like you because you're my best friend. That doesn't help, but really instead talk about who you are, what you're good at, what they see that you're good at. Because sometimes we're blinded to our own strengths. We don't know what we're good at because no one's told us. And maybe we're not that great at self-reflecting. I know I'm not always the best at self-reflection. So therefore, I don't always know what I'm doing well. But then somebody will come up to me afterwards and say, wow, that was really, really great. I really liked that you said this, or I really liked when you did this. Those are things that I know that work for me. So if you don't know what your strengths are, my first tip for you is ask other people. Okay? What if your strength isn't relevant to your work? This is the question Uno had. He's working in finance, but he also loves presenting. He loves putting on these conferences and he loves giving public speeches. So how does he feel inspired to do those things? Again, reflect if there are ways in your strengths in your profession, right? So it might not be directly related to the work that you're doing today, but can you use your strengths to propel you to advancement, right? Can you use what you're doing to propel you? Figure out ways to incorporate what you're doing into your strengths, into some sort of a daily routine. If Uno's working in finance, maybe he should say, hey, boss, do you mind after I come up with all the numbers, do you mind if I present this to the board? He's still presenting the numbers that he's really, really good at, but also he's working in his own strengths of communicating those numbers in a way that's going to make sense to the board, in a way that's going to breathe life into them. So that's one way. And then the last question is, what if my strength isn't tangible, right? So what I wrote here is strengths aren't simply dancing or writing, it's the motivation behind them. What keeps you invested in the activity? So to paraphrase one of my favorite leaders that I know, it's Simon Sinek. People don't care what you do, they care why you do it. Why do you dance in this example? Why do you write? Perhaps it's because it speaks to maybe some cultural traditions of yours, maybe something that, that you're just a creative person. Maybe that's why you write. Maybe your passion for writing speaks to your strengths of storytelling. Do you see there can be a lot of reasons why someone would write? Maybe it's a shared language. Maybe it's helping people to think of the world outside of this one that they're in, right? So again, there's all these different reasons, but I promise you, why you do the things you love, I promise, under that why, that's your strength. The reason you're doing the things that you love is because you are strong in them, or maybe you're strong in them because that is the reason that you're doing them, right? So yeah, make sure that you're asking yourself the why. So there's a bunch of different tools out there, right? There's a lot of different tools. I'm talking about the Gallup Strengths, which is There's a whole bunch of them. There's 34 strengths based on psychological leadership research. They've surveyed millions of people, I think, at this point in order to figure out all this tool. But there's a lot of other tools. Some of you may have heard of the DISC model. Some of you have probably done the Myers-Briggs, I'm an ISTJ, or whatever that is. Many of you, the new one that I saw a couple of years ago was the Enneagram that came out. So a lot of people were doing that. Hogan development. There's a lot of, there's True Colors. There's literally probably hundreds of different tools. There's some on Facebook that you can do that are like, hey, what animal am I, right? And so that's totally fine. You can use any of the tools that you feel comfortable with. But I think the idea is having some sort of shared language is really the important part. You want to start creating a shared language that you can communicate what you're strong at. You can communicate what you have talents in. So as we move on to, we want to know what the tools we're going to use so that way we can be the most authentic leader possible. What I really loved about our last presenter is our last presenter said, go do the things, right? Just get out there, get active, go do the things. But I think also he was also starting to talk about, and when you're doing those things, you've got to be good at it. You've got to actually, if you say you're going to have a meeting, you should have a meeting. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. It's as simple as that. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter how hard it is. If you committed to doing it, you do it. So by capitalizing on your strength, you can honestly, truly become a truly unique and authentic leader, right? And that's the whole goal, is you want to be the best of who you are. So you want to be an authentic leader. Authentic leadership. So each of these individuals we would describe as being an authentic leader. Am I right? So as they're true to their own character, their strengths are actually very unique to each of them as well. So authentic leadership is always about being true to who you are. So in the era of 24/7 social media, marketing, influence, all this stuff that's going on around us, people are craving relationships with real people. And so it's really our job to be as real and authentic as possible. So don't just do the things, but do the things that you enjoy, do the things that you're good at, right? Authentic leadership gives hope to others by being that real person. It demonstrates how we can be both human and great at the same time. People don't want to see someone who's always perfect, but they want to see someone who can learn, right? Someone who's going to make a mistake, but get back up. Make a mistake, but then learn from it. Though that's what people want to see. No one expects anyone to be perfect, especially in this day and age, right? There's video cameras on everybody at all times. You're never going to be 100% perfect all the time, but you can always be learning from those mistakes and learning and growing and doing the best you can do. So again, I want to emphasize that being true to who you are, you can achieve such greatness. So evaluating the different strengths of different authentic leaders. So each of these different people, these individuals have cultivated their strengths in such a way that it has propelled them towards success, right? And I'm sure you recognize all of them, if not most of them. Each one of them is obviously a one-of-a-kind person, and they're very easily identifiable, not only for their contributions, but how they contribute, why they contribute. The how and the why are very unique to each of their individual strengths, right? So Nelson Mandela, I'm just guessing, but I'm guessing he has belief, he has significance, he has connectedness. The man spent years in prison, jailed, but they didn't let him stop him. He had a strong motivation. He was a learner. He was learning every day while he was in prison. He believed that the world could be a better place if he just set forth on a new path and put the world on a new path. Malala, for those of you that know Malala is a Nobel Prize laureate now. But what made her infamous rather, is she wanted to go to school. And so she was literally shot in the face because she had a desire and a passion for learning. She's an achiever. I think she's probably valedictorian of the college, the university she went to. She has responsibility. She knows the burdens that are on her, and she continues to push forward because if she doesn't, no one else will. And she knows that. Obviously, she has learner, right? That's kind of what brought her to this in the first place, is she has a desire to learn all the knowledge possible because that's just what she enjoys doing. She didn't have to design anything. She didn't have to create a better world because of her idea. She wanted to create a better world. She didn't really want to. She didn't have that aspiration. She wanted to learn. She was true and authentic to herself. And that's what created a better world around her. Elon Musk, from a strengths perspective, he's all over the place. He must have ideation. Ideation means he has ideas everywhere he goes. This man has created, I think he created PayPal, Tesla, and he's sending people on rocket ships. Like, these three things don't have anything to do with one another, right? He's an engineer, but he just has so many ideas, and he never says no to his ideas. He keeps brainstorming. He keeps adapting. He keeps trying to fix things. That's what restorative means. Restorative means he's a fixer. He just wants to fix whatever it is. So if you put a problem in front of it, he can't sleep until there is some sort of way to fix that problem. So he's been learning about what all three of them know. They know their strengths. They know what makes them strong. And by them being strong in their own abilities and them being authentic to themselves, they become great world leaders. They have become authentic leaders. So again, think about how we interpret our different strengths, right? So maybe we have a passion for learning, right? Many people want to seek out careers based upon our strengths, right? Because this is our strength. So we should operate within our strengths. So if I have a passion for learning, well, what does that mean? Maybe I should be a content area expert and I want to really dive deep into biology so that I can teach biology. Maybe I don't even teach it. Maybe I just want to learn it so I become the best biologist. See, there's already two different ways. So for me, I have a passion for helping others, as I've already said. This has propelled me and my strengths as both an educator for over 20 years, but now, into being a coach, a life coach, but also into working in real estate now. So now I'm a realtor. I have a passion for helping others, and I went from education into real estate. How does that even work? Well, it's because, again, I'm always in service to others. That's why I do what I do. But again, it's not what I do, it's how I serve that's shifted, right? It's still the same thing. I still have a passion for others. The what is still the same. Passion, help others. Boom, boom. Doug is going to help other people. How is he going to do that? Well, that's changed dramatically because of my why, because of why I'm doing it, right? So I've become a realtor. I still believe in helping people grow. I just now do it in a new way. Same thing for passion for justice, or whatever you have passions in, you can see how you can take that, and there are a multitude of careers that you can start putting into those areas to really work in your strengths. So, words of wisdom. Leadership is behavioral, not positional. And again, this is one of the things that the last presenter talked a lot about. It is behavioral. It's not positional. So don't fall into the trap that you have to be in a position of leadership to have any kind of influence. Don't fall into the trap that you have to, I see this all the time, especially with student groups when I was working on college campuses. You have to be the president of some organization because you want to be the president. No, you don't have to. That's not the point. By playing to your strengths, you'll naturally become a person that others are going to turn to. They're going to watch. They're going to seek out for support and counsel. So work out of your strengths. Don't think of it as position. It's a matter of influence, and you gain that influence by being the most authentic you can be. So again, the key is to be authentic. To authentic leadership is to be true to yourself, your values and your strengths. While there may be thousands of entrepreneurs, educators, and thought leaders in the world, there's only one you in the entire world. Your strengths are a gift, so share them. So again, let me repeat that part of it. There's only one you in the world, in the universe. There's only one you. Share your talents. Share your strengths with us, because that's what the world needs. The world doesn't need more necessarily someone to be the next president of whatever. They need someone who's going to share their strengths, and we will elevate them to president if that is deserving upon them, because they have a vision that we want to see. Here's a quick example, and I'm sure many of you have thought of this, had this before. Have you ever said something to someone? Usually it's you're the first person saying it, but then other people say it. But let's think of it the opposite. Have you ever said something to someone that you know that they've heard 1,000 times before, but for some reason when you said it to them, it finally clicked. It got through, right? It's because you may have said it in a different way. The person that, you know, when your mom says clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, and as a kid you're like, I don't care, I'm done, I don't care anymore, got it, whatever. But maybe your dad says it. Heck, maybe your best friend comes over and says, wow, you should really clean your room. Light bulb goes off. All of a sudden things are different because you're seeing the world through another perspective. And that's really what you needed to hear. You needed to hear it the way your friend said it, not the way your mom said it. Maybe your mom was, you know, pointing the finger, or your friend didn't try to cast any judgment. Maybe they were just trying to say it in a nice way. There's different ways to say it, but when you say it to that person, when you said it in that way, only you could say it in that way. So the world needs more of you. Another quick example is this conference itself. So this is not the first conference of its kind, right? There's been other conferences. You could log on to YouTube and kind of put together some of these other things yourself. But really what I think is important is the vision that comes, it's not the first conference of its kind, but it's the vision that comes with this conference that makes it so great, right? Uno put this conference together. It's his visions, his talents, guiding the whole conference. Added into that is all the people that are moderating and doing all this stuff. They're adding their own personal flair to it as well. So therefore, it'll hit in many different ways. Everybody will hear different things out of the same conference, the same presentation. You might hear it one way, another person might hear it totally another way. But just, he's not trying to be just like everyone else, right? When Uno puts this together, they're not trying to be like, oh, we want to just rip off what that last person did and do it again. We're not doing that. He's doing it in a new way with his experiences, trying to be a little bit different so that you take something different out of this. There's new ways of hearing the same thing. There are significant benefits to align with your strengths. So the benefits of working in your strengths, obviously, if you're working from a place of strength, you're going to have that increased confidence. Your motivation is going to go through the roof. And when your motivation goes through the roof, your stress levels go way down because you already know you're going to be good at it. You're working in your strengths. You're going to have increased engagement. All of those things are going to be better. You're going to be more excited. You're going to be happier because you're operating in your zone, right? You're in the zone. That's what it means. So by leveraging all your strengths, you're able to maximize your potential for the greatness, for greatness. So think about ways to shift your mindset and behaviors to promote your natural abilities, right? So think about those ways. More words of wisdom. I love these words of wisdom. If you spend your life trying to be good at everything, you will never be great at anything. So finding and cultivating your strengths help you to have such value. Work from a place that you're talented in and grow to new heights. If you always work from those weaknesses, you won't grow much at all. You'll just maybe become okay. So for me, it's all about taking it to the next level, right? And so we've talked about how to get to your strengths. We've talked about what strengths are, and we've kind of talked about that. For me, now I want to see how we're going to take this information and go to the next level. So what do you have to do? You have to reflect. So what are your strengths? Again, if you don't know what your strengths are, ask a friend. Then you have to apply it. Okay, so if my strengths are this, well, how does that relate to my life? How do I use my strengths to contribute? How do I share it with others? And how do I grow from it? So for me, again, I love teamwork. That's one of the things that I really enjoy. So one of my strengths is building teams. So what I do is I try to collect as many amazing people as I can. I try to find them and collect them. When I find that Uno's amazing, I want to keep connected to Uno because I know that he's got strengths that I don't have. So for me, that's one of the areas that I strive in, that I do really well in, is collecting great people, because I want to network those people together. And I want to get those people to work together. again, in my 5 strengths, that's actually one of my talents is figuring out where people belong on a team or on a bus, right? Everybody's in a different position on the bus. And I'm pretty good about figuring out, you have this talent, you should be doing this. You have this talent, you should be doing this. That's kind of one of my strengths. So I need to make sure that I'm doing that, because I know that a team of really strong individuals is just a really strong team. So I try to create those strong individuals personally, right? One person at a time, one person at a time. And from that, they move into, once I figure out my strengths and you figure out your strengths, now we can start to see how they can work together. So I really enjoy the team aspect of it all. So if we were good at everything, we'd have no need for each other. Again, going back to my homeboy, Simon Sinek, I love him. If we were good at everything, we'd have no need for each other. I just enjoy that quote. Here's what I learned when I was at App State, right? Ubuntu leadership is all about a person is a person through other people. So for me, this equates to, real simply, we need others. You can't be the best you without me being the best me as well. So we need others to help each other to grow. Okay, so the conversation does not have to stop. I think I'm pretty much at my time limit, but I think I left a few minutes of open air so we can kind of talk this through. Any questions you might have. But if you wanted to reach me, that's my United States cell phone number, but there's other ways to reach me too. I have Instagram, I have Facebook, I have LinkedIn, I even have WhatsApp. So, and there's my email address as well. So feel free to contact me if this is something that interests you. I love talking about this stuff. I love helping people I love maximizing. My number 1 strength is actually a maximizer. I take good and go to great. I don't like to take bad and go to okay. I take good and go to great. And I want each of you to be the best you that can be, right? I want each of you to take your good and go to great. So I want you to start thinking of ways that you and I can interact. I do some leadership coaching as well, some personal development coaching. Like I said, if you're interested in real estate, you want to buy a house here in the United States, I'm the person to help you. I'm also a part of an organization that's actually, we're now in South Africa, right? EXP Realty. So if real estate is your thing and you want to get involved in real estate, call me. I'm happy to help you get involved with my company. That's actually, we started up in South Africa maybe a month or 2 ago. So we're selling real estate in South Africa. And again, I can help you and I want to help you because that's what I'm good at. I'm really good at helping people to become the best versions of themselves. So think of how you can do that for you. That's what I'm good at. What are you good at? What are you, the best version of yourself is what? And my last words of wisdom is by Don Clifton, again, the creator of strengths. And it says, what leaders have in common is that they each really know their own strengths. They've developed their strengths, they know them, and they can call on the right strengths at the right time. That's what's really important, is being able to bring that out. So that is my presentation. I'm happy that I could be here with you all. I'm sorry for my weird technical difficulties at the beginning, but I appreciate your time.
Wow. Wow, thank you so much, Doug. That was so beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for questions. It's your opportunity. But while we're at it, let's give Doug a great hand of applause. If you can open up your mics, clap for Doug, shout for Doug, whatever you can do. Come on, let's do it. Yes, that was fantastic. No, fantastic. We appreciate you, Doug, for making the time. And yes, if you're confident enough to open up to show your hand that you have a question and you'd want to unmute yourself and speak, please go ahead. Show your hand that you have a question. If you don't want, you want to type it out, please go ahead. Our chat section is open. Just throw in your questions. Yeah, Doug is here. He's ready to take your questions. So leading from your strength. Such beautiful words of wisdom that you were sharing within your presentation there, Doug.
Thank you, Linda.
They're all striking. They hit the heart right deep. Let me check if anyone has their hand raised. Okay, not yet. Well, Uno says, wouldn't you want to buy a house from this guy? Guess he's sold. But all right, Leon has a question. Or is that a question, but a comment? Let me see. I'm also in the real estate business, currently working for Keller Williams, but I'll be resigning this coming week to start my own company. Great. I was the rookie agent of the year 2020 and a blue chip agent in my second year. I would appreciate any advice from you to grow my business. That's a question, or else Leon would like some advice on how he can grow his business.
Sure. The easiest thing I can say, or the simplest thing I can say, maybe not the easiest, is again, be your authentic self. So just like the presentation, I want you to be you. So when we're doing marketing and we're doing, Facebook Live events and we're doing all these things, people don't want polished. They don't want someone who's going to be, a salesman. They don't want to be sold anything. They want you to be an authentic person. They want you to be in their corner. So to sell a house, I don't have to, have my presentation all completely polished. I have to be real. And I have to show them, hey, here's the house that you're looking at. Here's what's good. Here's what's bad. You know what? Here's me. I'm going to do the best job I can for you. And so I'm going to do a Facebook presentation or a whatever. Even this, I had struggles even on this presentation because my notes were trying to pop up and I had to figure out something on the fly. Nobody's going to be perfect and nobody expects you to be perfect. But I think if you figure out what your strengths are and be true to those strengths as you're helping others to find the house of their dreams or to sell the house that they need to get rid of because of family emergency or whatever that might be. So again, be your authentic self is the best way I can, start to have that part of the conversation. There's obviously a whole lot more that you and I can go into, but I don't want to bore everybody else on the conference. So Leon, I'll go back a slide and I'll, feel free to contact me. Feel free to write me an email and you and I can chat. Here's all my contact information again.
Thank you there, Doc. Anybody else with a question? Probably some of you are typing, but while we're at it, I also have a question from my end. So you spoke about how we all need each other, and I think one of the words of wisdom there that you shared from, if not it's Elon Musk or somebody else, but that says if we all knew everything, then we wouldn't need each other. But now, how do you connect? So coming back to authenticity, how do you show a need for, like, how do you show authenticity while you're trying to connect with someone? I mean, we get on LinkedIn, you send someone because you probably like their profile, you really want to probably get mentored by them or just get a simple advice. You click on the, hey, let's connect. And then, I mean, the next thing you probably have to type just a bit of an intro message like, hey, I saw you. But how do you make it authentic enough? Or yeah, how do you connect? I hope you understand me.
Yeah, I think there's no one right way. You have to connect the way that you connect. So for me, I'm not usually the typer. I'm not a writer when it comes to typing out whole long, presentations or typing out things. It's not me. It's not who I am. In real estate, for example, there's a lot of people that want to put together these PowerPoints and presentations and they've got 20 slides to go through for the seller and they are very good at that. For me, that's not me. I don't like to do that. So I usually don't come with any slides. I come with a couple pieces of paper and I come with the authentic person of who I am. And I say, hey, show me your house. What are you most excited about? Why did you buy this house? You start asking them questions, figuring out who they are. And that's one of the easiest way to connect is to figure out who the person is you're connecting with. I can't connect with someone if I'm not asking them questions. So otherwise I'm just telling a story, kind of like I did today, right? I don't know if I'm connecting with you all or not. I wish I was, but I need to more. So the best way for me to do that is to ask questions. What's going on in your life right now that this is, something that's important to you? And once you start figuring out those answers, then you're able to have those authentic relationships and real connections with people. So, for me, again, maybe it's not creating a PowerPoint. Maybe it's picking up the phone and calling them. Maybe it's meeting them at their house and talking to them face to face so that they can see who I am and I can see who they are. Obviously I'm probably not going to be meeting you at your house, Lunga, because it's a little bit further away, but I would love to. But so maybe for us it's over Zoom. Maybe we can do it over Zoom where you can see my face, you can see my expressions, you can see that I'm looking at you. The reason my eyes are pointed a little bit down is because that's where your face is right there. And so I'm staring at you as opposed to the camera. That's weird to me. But I want to make sure that you are being heard in every way that you want to be heard. So I think that's the best way to connect, especially COVID-19. I agree. COVID-19 has changed the world in so many ways, and right now it's one of the best ways to connect with someone is still face-to-face. People are longing for physical interaction, human interaction, maybe not even physical, but just human to human interaction. So great, let's do it over Zoom call.